On a calm September 15th, 2025, morning, a find made on the Delta State University campus in Cleveland, Mississippi, rocked the state and the country. Employees of the university discovered the body of 21-year-old black student Demer Trevian Trey Reed hanging from a tree at around 7:05 a.m., close to the pickleball courts in the center of campus. Following it, a story of loss, mistrust, controversy, and unresolved issues that still require public attention developed. This story ties together what we know about the events, how the authorities responded, the debates that sparked, and the bigger effects of a tragedy that has resonances in both the past and the present. At Delta State University, the morning of September 15th was expected to be typical for the majority of students' classes, centennial celebrations, and a fresh week of campus life. On the contrary, faculty discovered a scene that would completely stop the rhythms of academic life. The sight of Reed's body hanging from a tree close to a popular recreation area has significant symbolic meaning in Mississippi, a state with a tragic and long history of racial violence. Immediately, the authorities were informed. Numerous law enforcement organizations promptly responded, including the Bolivar County Coroner's Office and campus police. With the recovery of the body, Reed was quickly recognized as a young man from Grenada, Mississippi, who was regarded by many as intelligent, aspirational, and full of promise. It was instantly a feeling of incredulity. What could possibly go so horribly wrong on a university campus? And the most crucial question is, why? The discovery led to a prompt and noticeable institutional reaction. Delta State University called off all of its centenary celebration, festivities, and classrooms for the day. In a statement, University President Daniel J. Ennis expressed his deep sorrow over Reed's passing. He expressed his sympathies to Reed's family, acknowledged the sorrow of the student body, and underlined that all students will have access to counseling and mental health care. In addition to confirming the discovery's timing and location, Campus Police Chief Michael Peeler said Reed's family had been informed. Importantly, at that point, Chief Peeler said there was no evidence of foul play. For many, the term raised more questions than it did answers, despite its intended calming effect. Soon after, rumors started to circulate on social media. According to some posts, Reed had bruises or fractures that were not consistent with a hanging that he did himself. These allegations stoked mistrust and brought up terrible historical analogies, especially considering Mississippi's history of racialized violence against black males. Such speculation was promptly refuted by authorities. No compound fractures, fractured bones, or lacerations or contusions that would suggest an assault were found during Reed's initial assessment, according to Deputy Coroner Murray Rourke. In other words, no overt indications of a battle were present. However, a large portion of the community was not persuaded, thus the harm was done. During the autopsy, officials repeatedly stated that there were no signs of foul play in the occurrence, which stoked skepticism. For Reed's family and many others, such hasty judgments felt callous and hurried. Reed's family expressed their desire for an open, impartial inquiry in statements. They had far too many unresolved questions. In its first version, the official story is comparatively consistent. The incident seems to be isolated, according to school police, and there isn't a larger threat to campus safety. There were no indications of blunt force trauma, fractured bones, or other injuries commonly linked to an assault on Reed's body, according to the Bolivar County Coroner's Office. Reed's precise cause and manner of death are being ascertained by a state medical examiner through a comprehensive autopsy. Authorities have warned that no definitive conclusions can be made until the autopsy and additional investigations are finished. However, despite their repeated claims of no foul play, a cynical public remains unconvinced, especially in light of the case's contentious racial connotations. For Reed's classmates, instructors, and friends, the death was sudden and intensely personal. The college erupted in shock and sadness. As a show of solidarity, students congregated around the pickleball courts, held vigils, and placed flowers there. Anger and distrust, however, soon joined the grieving. Numerous pupils questioned if they were receiving the whole truth. Some others had urgent worries about campus mental health resources after the tragedy. Others had more sinister suspicions of racial violence as a result. A thorough autopsy is still awaiting, and the findings should shed light on the cause and manner of death. Many things are still unknown. However, these facts make up the majority of what is known. Despite official statements, tension is nevertheless fueled by a number of outstanding questions. Was it suicide, or is there still a chance that foul play played a role that hasn't been identified? Factors that led Reed to the pickleball courts? How long was he there before anyone noticed? Monitoring and observers. Did cameras exist nearby? What do they display, if any? Response protocols. To what extent did authorities act promptly? Was a suitable preservation of the scene made? Background in mental health. Was Reed having trouble juggling his studies or personal obligations? Did anyone know of any past suicide thoughts? Both for determining the truth and for forming public confidence, each of these questions is important. It is impossible to divorce Trey Reed's tragic death from the larger historical and social milieu in which it took place. Inexplicable reminders of America's lynching past can be found in the picture of a black guy dangling from a tree in Mississippi. Even if Reed's death turns out to have been a suicide, black communities still find the symbolism to be distressing and traumatizing. It is the responsibility of universities to provide students with emotional and mental support, in addition to conducting thorough investigations into tragedies. Since Reed's passing, administrators must provide strong mental health resources and communicate openly. Public trust is at danger when authorities make hasty remarks that appear to downplay potential outcomes before investigations are finished. In situations where historical injustice exacerbates public sensitivity, transparency is crucial. A contemporary problem is exemplified by the quick dissemination of unconfirmed reports online. When there is no official clarification, conjecture thrives on social media. Although this can increase the demand for accountability, it can also skew the facts and widen gaps. The following developments will be significant in determining how this case turns out in the future. Results of the autopsy. The state medical examiner's findings may offer the most precise explanation for Reed's demise. Independent oversight. Reed's family and civil rights groups might be successful in their efforts to demand outside investigators in order to guarantee openness. Campus reforms. Delta State may come under pressure to enhance campus safety facilities, assess emergency procedures, and increase mental health services. Community healing may be facilitated by vigils, memorial services, and candid discussions, but complete healing will require reliable responses. As of mid-September 2025, the details of Trey Reed's passing are still being worked out. He was found, and we know how and where, but we don't know for sure why. For his loved ones, his passing is a personal tragedy, but it also leaves a university and a community that is dealing with grief, suspicion, and history with a collective wound. Finding the truth is ultimately important for everyone who cares about justice and openness, not just Reed's family. Many people believe that healing won't occur unless their questions are not only addressed, but also in a way that builds confidence. The eerie memory of Trey Reed's last moments clings to the mind, seeking explanation. Was there anything more sinister that the world hasn't yet discovered? Or was it the quiet anguish of a young guy lost too soon? Community members grieve, demand, and hope for truth until we know. We cover the stories others shy away from. If you believe these voices deserve to be heard, make sure to subscribe and join our growing community.